Hello, many thanks for joining us on News Hour 2. My name is Sani Abdurrahman. In this package, we'll be telling you the very latest that's been happening in the country and beyond, as well as business, sports and entertainment. Now, let's start with ECOWAS because the sanctions on Mali are already having an effect. Some travelers, we understand, are reported to have been stranded at bus stations in Mali's capital, Bamako. The vast landlocked nation of 19 million people borders 7 other states, and its location makes it a key transport hub for West Africa, with Bamako being a key stop along the land routes linking countries such as Senegal to states further east such as Nigeria. Now, only the routes to Mauritania and Algeria, which are not ECOWAS member states, and Guinea remain open. In a crown Sunday, 9th January 2022, the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, imposed various sanctions on Mali for failing to live up to a February 2022 deadline to return the country to constitutional rule. Now, the sanctions include a trade embargo and a call for ECOWAS member states to close their borders to Mali. We have on the line, Ghana's ambassador to Mali, His Excellency Napoleon Abdullahi, to have a discussion as to how this sanction will impact Mali and whether it will compel the military to return the country to constitutional rule. Thank you so much for your time, sir, this afternoon. First of all, you have been Ghana's envoy in Mali. What is the general atmosphere in Mali right now, if you have an idea as to what's happening in there?
No, Mali is very, very clean. People are going about their duty. We expect the country to continue to become. We expect one massive demonstration on Friday at the time. We don't expect the demonstration to be violent. This is the situation right now in Bamako. Among the main cities such as Picasso, and Kidal in the north.
We understand Malians, and for that matter, other citizens in the country are having a difficulty coming out or entering the country. How is that impacting lives and livelihoods in Mali right now?
As you are aware, Mali is a landlocked country with 7 borders. So any closure of any of the borders naturally will affect the movement in the country. It is difficult now to fly into Mali except from Algeria or from Mauritania. In addition, because Mali is a landlocked country, Mali is also stars from Morocco, countries like Morocco and Tunisia, and of course through Faso and Ghana. The closure of the borders directly affects but the government of Colonel Antonio is managing the crisis, and we hope and pray that dialogue and more diplomacy takes over between the transitional authority and the Economic Community of West African States. Dialogue is the only way out for us to find solutions to the transiting challenges facing Mali.
Well, there was an earlier indication by the military to hold election so that the country could return to democratic rule. That has not happened yet. There is a sanction placed on the country by ECOWAS, which kind of indicate that there's going to be further economic hardship on the citizenry. Is there any indication that the citizens are going to demonstrate or rebel against the military so that they will more or less increase the pressure on the administration for them to return the country to constitutional rule?
The sanctions that have been placed are not to mobilize Malians against their government. The sanctions that have been placed are basically to put pressure on the transitional authorities to submit an electoral calendar for elections in Mali. We of ECOWAS are working and in dialogue with the transitional leaders to provide ECOWAS with an acceptable calendar that would lead to parliamentary and presidential elections as soon as possible, in line with the supplementary protocol of 1991 signed by all the 16-member ECOWAS countries. That specifically says that there should be no military rule, that all ECOWAS countries are committed to constitutional democratic power. That is, all leaders should be elected for a certain number of years. In the case of Ghana and Nigeria, 2 terms of 4 years each. So, in reality now, this is what we are working with the constitutional government.
The military seem to have some sort of international backing, because we've seen Russia and China blocking the United Nations Security Council from supporting ECOWAS' imposition of new sanctions on Mali. What sort of signals will this kind of support from the international, a section of the international community, send to the administration?
First and foremost, Mali has had an excellent relationship with the former Soviet Union and the Russia Federation since independence in 1960, under the leadership of President Yedido, a close colleague of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Mali has also had an excellent relationship with the People's Republic of China. 90% of Malian military officers are Russian trained. More and more military equipment are from Moscow. We understand the positions of the 2 United Nations Security Council members. Every state has the right to see to it that its territorial integrity is intact. The current situation is that the Malian government is so this is the situation. ECOWAS will continue to dialogue with Mali to see to either Mali returns to constitutional rule as soon as possible.
We've heard from the junta giving an indication that they are ready to dialogue with ECOWAS to have an amicable solution to this challenge. As a diplomat, do you see these sanctions affecting the relations between Mali and ECOWAS?
Yes, certainly the sanctions do affect our relationship. But there's no Chinese war between ECOWAS and Malian people. If you take the specific case of Ghana,
we seem to have lost the Ghana's ambassador to Mali, Mr. Napoleon Abdullahi, who has been helping us to understand some of the issues happening in the country and its impact on the relations between Mali and ECOWAS. We tried to raise him back to have him answer our very last question, but we'll move on to some other event of the day as we try to bring back His Excellency. Now, the National Labour Commission and the University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, and the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission are in a meeting today over the ongoing strike by the teacher union. The meeting, according to the commission, is to settle the disputes between the two parties. It comes on the back of allegations by UTAG that the commission had delayed in releasing the reports of the labor market survey. The University Teachers Association of Ghana has said it's hopeful of reaching a consensus with government on resolving the current impasse. Members of UTAG started a nationwide indefinite strike on Monday, January 10, to demand better conditions of service. Now, we will give you details to this story in our subsequent bulletins, because as we speak now, the meeting is ongoing and our cameras are there waiting for the outcome to share with you. Also, in some of the day's other stories, the Minister for Education, Dr. Yao Osei-Dichum, has explained the need for Ghanaians to rally behind the president and support his current science, technology and engineering together with mathematics initiative to be introduced soon. On GBC's breakfast show on Thursday morning, Dr. Dichum says STEM education will enable students to acquire critical and independent thinking skills to enable them adapt to current developmental trends. We'll bring you excerpts of the interview.
Approach to learning and study, but you know you have to really have the equipment and the tools for it to come live. In terms of the span of schools that we have in this country, when we say span, we have the primary school, we have the KG, we have the junior high and the high school. What has happened to us before 1987, this was not the case. Before 1987, we have secondary school. So that is why you never heard of high school in the names of schools, except let's say Kumasi High School, where I did my sixth form.
Or Accra High School.
Our Accra High School. There are very few of them. All of them were called secondary, right? And you see, when we talk about Accra High, it was not Accra Senior High. It was Accra High. It was combining what we now do with junior high and senior high. So what has happened to us as a nation after 1987 is when we separated the lower secondary from the upper secondary.
Okay, so now we are going back to basics.
We are going back to basics to have that opportunity that if we are building new schools, the children from that locality can have their lower secondary at that senior high school. So when we say high school, we should be thinking 6 years continuously. But it's not a new system. It's not a new system that a senior high school is going to be 6. No, high schools in Ghana is already 6 years. Except that we separated the lower secondary from the upper secondary and made it 3+3 disjointed, not taught by the same group of teachers. But you have a situation where the lower secondary was seen as the extension of primary school. They wore the same uniforms until recently, taught by the same teachers, and there was nothing secondary about the junior high. It was always about junior high school, an extension of primary school, and
Meanwhile, the Education Minister has confirmed to GBC that an amount of 60 million cedis has been secured to support educational interventions for senior high school teachers across the country. He said this on GTV's Breakfast Show.
I'm making the announcement on your show. Yes. Yesterday, I signed up for the release of 60 million cedis for teacher intervention to be paid. So the announcement has been made on breaking news on your show.
You heard it here first.
We love it. Teacher interventions, you've signed off.
Yes.
60 million Ghana cedis.
Yes.
Fantastic.
That's covering the senior high school near you.
Okay. Covering how many teachers?
Covering how many? All teachers in high school. And in fact, it's not just teachers. The schools have a formula that they use every year because they know that the non-teaching staff are also impacted. So I can't describe how they are going to work it out, but GS always send directives and the schools know how to share.
In some of the day's other event, a former foreign minister and attorney general of Ghana under President Jerry John Rawlings' administration, Dr. Obediah Asamoah has supported the move by the Ghana Legal Council to have allowed students who passed the entrance exams to the Ghana School of Law the opportunity to enroll in the professional aspect of the study of law. As a guest on our weekly personality profile program, Legends of Our Time, Dr. Obediah Asamoah stated that the current ratio of lawyers to clients still gives room for more qualified people to be accepted into the profession. He spoke to GBC News in Accra.
I think that anybody who passes the entrance exam should be admitted. If the person has passed it, he should be admitted. But we must all know, whether in Britain or anywhere else, those who are in the profession already are always interested in cutting down the numbers of those who are coming to the profession.
Oh, why is it so?
It happens in Britain, it happens everywhere else. So it is difficult for you to get into the professional class, you know, wherever you are. But if you set up an examination and they pass it, then you got.
A 17-year-old student of Agri Road No. 2 Junior High School in Tema in the Greater Accra region, Mr. Samuel Abuaje, is using STEM, that is science, technology, engineering and mathematics principles and his imaginations to invent new solutions to everyday problems. The young Ghanaian inventor uses plastic waste to bring his ideas to life. This gives meaning to the president's commitment to the employment of STEM to solve problems. A report by Shelley Bewa. We'll bring you that report later, but let's go for this break and return with some more news.
And even proposed the name for the party. As the longest-serving foreign minister and attorney general under ex-president Jerry Rawlings' regime, he shares his rich experiences under the PNDC-NDC administrations. Dr. Obediah Asamoah is our guest for this week on Legends of Our Time with our host, Gifty J.
At a point in your career, you fell out with your boss.
Yes, we did.
Rawlings, what really happened?
It was over his choice of President Mills as his successor. I fell out with Mills after the Koforidua Congress.
Okay.
The evidence was clear that some people had plotted to harm me. Oh yes. But then I decided that, considering all the sacrifice I had made for the party, and to tell you the truth, the whole idea of setting up a party was my idea.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Initially, President Rawlings was not in favor, and so many of the members of the government were not in favor. They said that if we decided we were going to return the country to constitutional rule, then people should go back to the old parties that they belong to.
Legends of Our Time, showing this Friday, 8:15 p.m. on GBC News, and a repeat on Sunday, 5:50 p.m. on GBC News, and Thursday at 1 p.m. on GTV. Our legends, are you cool?
East Regional Office of the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, DVLA, is unhappy with the increase in the usage of unlicensed motorbikes and commercial tricycles on the streets of the Upper East region. The youth are said to be the worst offenders who either operate with an expired roadworthiness or no driving license. Upper East Regional Correspondent Isaac Asari has been monitoring the situation in the region and joins us with some updates as to how the citizens are complying with the directive and also what the DVLA is doing to enforce the law. Isaac, if you can hear me, what is the situation now regarding the use of unlicensed motorbikes and tricycles in the Upper East region?
Okay, thank you so much. Let me give you a bit of the motorbike situation in the region before I come in. In the northern sector of the country, particularly the Upper East region, the use of motorbikes are not a luxury, but a necessity as it forms the bulk of transportation in the region. I may not have the exact figure, but I can confidently say that over 60% of the region's population owns a motorbike and has undoubtedly become a common culture among the people. At least every household you visit in the Upper East region can boast of one motorbike. Applying on major and town roads within my jurisdiction, you could spot children as young as 12, 13 years riding a motorbike, an indication that motorbike cannot be done away with when it comes to transportation in the Upper East region. For residents and those that have had the opportunity to visit any part of the north, it is by far the cheapest and the most convenient mode of transportation. We also have tricycles also operating in the region. We have what the local people refer to as Kandu or yellow and motorcane. But sadly enough, most of these motorbikes and those that fall in that category are not plying the roads without riding license. It is not as though they are not privy to the fact that they need their license to work. Some blatantly refuse to go for it for reasons best known to them. And quite worrying is the fact that most of the riders flout road traffic regulation with impunity and are the cause of most carnage on our roads. The situation, I must say, has been a source of worry to the driver and vehicle licensing authority, as well as the police. So a visit to the Boga office of the DVLA was to find answers as to why people refuse to apply for license and what the authority was doing to clamp down on offenders. I was actually schooled on the procedures involved in the acquisition of riding license and that of the drivers. And one good thing is that the process can begin via online application.
Isaac, not to cut you, but what has the DVLA and the police been telling you in terms of enforcing the law to ensure that the riders adhere to the motor regulations, I mean?
Well, I was fortunate to meet the regional manager of the DVLA in the name of Rashid Mohammed, who gave me some insight into the situation when GBC News visited their premises. The team spotted a number of unregistered motorbikes parked within the yard. And I was told that somewhere December last year, motorists were given some temporary license in the form of chits covering the registration. These chits, as I speak, expired on January 10. And I think it was just for a period of 2 weeks. I was made to understand that those that are still in possession of the expired chits can be arrested by the police should they refuse to visit the office for a genuine riding license. And the dangerous thing is that the police has been made aware of this grace period, so they do so at their own peril. On the riding license, it was actually confirmed that it was indeed a national issue, and those without the license were the worst culprits when it comes to road crashes and carnage on the road, since they have little or no knowledge on traffic regulation. According to Mr. Al-Rashid, those that visit the office for the riding license will be given some form of training on road safety. And he equally announced plans by the office to introduce what they call the vehicle registration system, where motorists will have their biodata taken and printed out to them for their upkeep. I was also educated on the procedures that has to do with the change of ownership, especially when one buys a new vehicle or motorbike. And he said the DVLA also work closely with the customs division to authenticate the validity of vehicles brought from neighboring countries, including Togo and Burkina Faso.
Okay, Isaac.
So, yeah.
Thank you so much. That's all that time will permit us on this subject. Isaac Asari is our Upper East regional correspondent and has been painting a picture of the lack of adherence to motor regulations in the region by some riders and what the DVLA together with the Ghana Police Service is doing to address the concern. Now, the Ghana Water Company Limited has resorted to rationing water to meet demand in the wake of the dry season, which has led to fall in water supply. The company has described the move as a water demand management, which it says will ensure equitable distribution of water to consumers across the country. In a statement, the company advised consumers to ensure that to more or less ensure that they use water judiciously by avoiding indiscriminate watering of lawns with treated water, moderating the use of treated water for car washing by resorting to the use of buckets instead of hosing, shutting all taps when not in use in various homes and offices. The statement said consumers were experiencing erratic flow of water in some parts of the country as a result of the dry season. The statement further said all district offices had been requested to announce to customers days when water would be flowing so they could store some water. Now, for some more on this subject, we are joined on the line by the communications manager of the Ghana Water Company, Mr. Stanley Marty. Thank you so much, Mr. Marty, for your time. Dry seasons recur all the time. How is that? How is the Ghana Water Company working to ensure that some of these challenges are addressed and the rationing is reduced so that we can have water adequately for domestic and also industrial use?
Hello.
Yes, Mr. Mate, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
I was asking what the company is doing to address this concern of perennial shortage and to also ensure that we have adequate supply in our homes and offices.
Okay, so I'll answer this question in 2 or 3 ways. Okay. Now, for us as a company, we have dams which serves as reservoirs. So we're able to store water within the dams or the reservoirs throughout the year. So we're able to store enough water to abstract for treatment throughout the year. So what we are doing is that we are dredging our dams. As I speak, the dam in Ashanti region is being dredged so that at least we can store more water and use throughout the year. After more dams within the country will be dredged. Yeah, so that in areas where we have dams, we could face out this challenge that occurs during the Harmattan period or during the dry season. So, now, in areas where we do not have dams, our treatment plants or our intake or abstraction points are structured such that no matter how low the water levels are, we still can abstract enough for treatment. The challenge in such areas is the pollution of the river. So although we have very low levels in those rivers, what has actually compounded the problem is the fact that the little water in the source in the rivers have been polluted as a result of galamsey operations and then other human activities, including discharge of effluent, fish farming activities, and all that. So we have been our best to dredge our dams so that we can store more water in our reservoirs. The other aspect is beyond our purview, that we all will have to get involved in stopping or in putting an end to the galamsey operations or the pollution of our river bodies. If we do not stop these operations, we'll always face this problem, because when the levels are low, the operations muddy the water, or there's high turbidity as a result of the operations. So it becomes very difficult for us to abstract the water for treatment. The little that we abstract is very turbid. I only describe it as mud, filled with sand and steam particles. So it becomes difficult for us to treat. And it becomes more expensive for us to treat, because you use energy in abstracting the water, a very little water. And then you will have to dislodge about 30 to 40% because of the debris in the water. And then you have to use more chemicals than normally you would use to treat the little water that is left, which is unable to meet the demand of the population. So that is the challenge that we have. And that is what we are
painting a picture of the challenge that you have. What is the level of engagement with other state agencies and ministries, for example, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, to increase their efforts to address issues of pollution by miners, so that, of course, it can help save some of the resources that we have?
So that's exactly what we are doing. And not too distant past, we had gone around with our sector minister, Honorable Sisi Radapa, the Minister for Land and Natural Resources, and Information Minister, in these distressed areas to assess the situation. And that was what brought about the serious fight against the galamsey activities. So it is something that we are doing. Okay. And as a company, we are supporting law enforcement agencies, we are supporting the military, the National Security, the police, district assemblies, and the Water Resources Commission to enable them do education and to fight the galamsey menace. So we are really working on solving it, except that we have very recalcitrant relations who, despite our efforts, they still continue with the operations.
Thank you so much. Stanley Mate is the communications manager of the Ghana Water Company and has been explaining what his outfit is doing to address issues of water rationing that we've been seeing in the past couple of weeks. Now, let's go back to our earlier story where a 17-year-old student of Agri Road No. 2 Junior High School in Tema in the Greater Accra region, Samuel Abuaji, is using STEM to more or less introduce a lot of imaginations to invent new solutions to everyday problems. Now, the young Ghanaian inventor uses plastic waste to bring his ideas to life. This gives meaning to the president's commitment to the employment of STEM to solve problems. A report by Shelley Bewa.
Child growing up near the ocean in Tema Community 2, Samuel Abuaji loved playing and fidgeting with discarded gadgets. Described as shy, reserved, but innovative, he is inspired by everyday devices that can make a lasting impact in today's world. He also loves science as a subject in school. His two passions met when his science and maths teachers helped him to nurture and develop the passion for STEM. Ever since, Samuel Abuaji has been looking for an environmentally safe way to extract everyday gadgets from plastic waste.
It all started when I was in school and my science teacher put me in a 20 people in a group. And he gave us a science set and he said we should go and try our hands on it to bring out something. So I discovered a Bluetooth speaker made with a gallon.
I met Samuel far back at 2018 when he was in Form 1, the JHS 1, and his quietness and then his laid back in class, especially when class is in session, it rang a bell. So I decided to follow this guy. At the time, I will find him with old radio sets, old phones, trying to repair them. And I said, whoa, this guy has something and he needs to be helped.
My friend David discovered him and it was like, Mike, this guy has a problem. And the problem is he needs somebody to talk to. And since you are a reverend or you are a pastor, I think you should take that counseling session.
He has so far invented a number of items from recycled materials. His claim to fame is this solar cum electronic power scooter built with wood.
This is the Bluetooth connection. It has a media player, so you can use it to connect your phone or you can play radio. And this is my brake, and this is the controller for the music, and this is the switch to control the scooter. You can use electricity to charge it when you don't want to use the solar panel. So it's both.
The young Ghanaian has also created an amazing Bluetooth speaker box using a regular plastic water gallon, a sound system with Bluetooth technology which has the ability to tune to most Ghanaian radio stations so that the listener has a variety of stations at his disposal.
This Bluetooth speaker, he started and then he called me one day that said, I've been able to do a Bluetooth speaker, but it's not playing. And I said, okay, so just read about the electrical energy I taught you. And then I also schooled him on the phone. So I went to the house and I said, no, these wires are not connected well. You just have to connect them well. And it came out good.
Samuel Abuaji has also invented a fan and a vacuum cleaner using plastic waste gallons. Changing inventions before they are out of their teens.
In the future, I want to open my own company, employ a lot of people, and help the people who are in need. I want to become an inventor, someone who invents something like Kantanka.
Thanks to the Minister of Education for adopting him on live television. Yes, the corporate office of the minister contacted us even before we met him, so it's not a coincidence. The way forward is we are waiting for his results to be in, and then we want a higher education, technical, and then a higher education for him to upgrade himself, yes, cognitively and practically.
The people around me didn't think of someone who is quietly like this will get opportunity like this. So they felt happy, and sometimes when I'm in the house, they will come to me, let's take a picture. You are now a star.
Samuel Abuaji is a JHS graduate who desires to continue his research and inspire greater interest in STEM. The young inventor is paving the way for future creators. For his teachers, there is plenty to be done to help students become inspired and use STEM principles to change the world. For GBC News, Shelley Bewa reporting.
The video mode out.
Good afternoon, and I am Dorothy Ajamai. Accra is urging Budapest to throw its weight behind the African Continental Free Trade Area, since it has the potential of scaling up trade and economic development on the continent. And at a meeting at the Jubilee House with his Hungarian counterpart, President Akufo-Addo stressed that the success of the over $1.2 trillion free trade area will go a long way to reduce the number of African migrants embarking on a perilous journey to Europe in search of greener pastures.
Ghana also called on Hungary to lend its support to the African Continental Free Trade Area, whose secretariat is located in Accra. The AFCFTA links 54 markets covering 1.2 billion people with a combined GDP of $3 trillion United States dollars. By 2050, it will cover an estimated 2.5 billion people and have over a quarter of the world's working age population. The investment and business opportunities offered to the Hungarian private sector by the infrastructure required to link these markets more effectively are enormous.
The Institute of Energy Security has reviewed its average fuel price forecast for the second pricing window of January, projecting price per litre of petrol and diesel to increase between 4 and 6%. The projection is based on rising prices of crude oil on the international market and depreciation of the cedi against the US dollar.
Prices of fuel at local pumps in Ghana saw an increment within the window under assessment. Petroleum products prices per litre rose from 6 cedis 50 pesos on average at most pumps to reach 6 cedis 70 pesos within the window under review. The price increase was occasioned by the rise in prices on the international market despite government's extension of the suspension of the price stabilization and recovery levy on the petroleum price build-up. Majority of the oil marketing companies increased their prices at the pumps by 2 to 3% on the back of the 7.42% increase in the price of Brent crude, the 9.46% increase in price of gasoline, the 8.52% increase in gas oil price, and the 0.3% depreciation of the local currency against the dollar. The Institute for Energy Security predicts an increase in fuel prices of between 30 pesos and 40 pesos per litre. According to the IES, the imminent price increases may force some OMCs to sell gasoline and gas oil at 7 cedi per litre at the pumps for the first time.
Mr. Fritz Moses is a research analyst with the Institute of Energy Security and joins us with some more analysis. Good to have you join us, sir.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, sir. Based on what is the IES projecting a 4 to 6% increase in the next pricing window, and how much will a consumer pay for a litre of petrol or diesel?
Yes, so essentially what we are looking at is to see that on the local market, prices that we are currently seeing would rise by some additional, say, 30%. And so, for instance, OMCs that are selling around 60 to 80% at their pumps, Shell and Total, you may have, or you may see prices reach above 7 cedis per litre for petrol and diesel.
is it right to say the price movers have eroded the gains made when government suspended the price of stabilization levy?
Not necessarily. I mean, the suspension of the factor resistance levy and recovery levy has not really affected the price. What we are seeing now, what is causing the current rise in prices, is the international market prices. We know there are two main indicators that affect the prices in Ghana. That's the international prices, and then also, of course, the CD exchange rate, how that's fair. Unfortunately for Ghana, we've seen a consistent rise in the international market from years, and starting somewhere within the mid-December. We see prices rise from $65 per barrel and currently around $65 per barrel. That's essential enough, and that's what's in the current vehicles that we are expecting. Also, the local funds, we have seen the city further depreciate by some 0.3%, which is not good news for the market. Unfortunately, that would also go into the calculations by the OMC in increasing their prices.
So is there anything to do to help stabilize the rise in prices?
For now, we look at the factors out. Generally, things that we will be able to control, particularly for the international market prices increment. However, I think locally we will have to look at measures to deepen or strengthen our local cedi against the US dollar, because you mentioned if prices are rising in the international market marginally and our cedi is appreciating against the US dollar, then there will be a sense of stability in the sense that the OMCs or the BDCs may want to absorb the costs that they will incur because the cedi has stabilized or even appreciated against the US dollar. But if the two factors, the international market prices are rising and the cedi is falling, then we have a problem.
Right. We'll have to end here, sir. Thank you so much for your time. And that was a research analyst with the Institute of Energy Security, Mr. Fritz Moses, explaining the basis on which IES is projecting a 4 to 6% increase in the next pricing window. The National Insurance Commission, NIC, and partners have launched an accelerator program designed to support and grow insurance startups while unlocking innovations which can help transform the country's insurance industry. Dubbed Ghana InnoLab InsurTech Accelerator Program, seeks to bring down premium costs, bridge the widening protection gap, and increase insurance penetration in the country. Africa's insurance sector is primed for growth, and with technology, the industry can unlock the innovations needed to deliver more affordable and relevant products for local consumers. Research indicates that Africa's insurance industry is valued at approximately $68 billion in terms of gross written premium. However, most people who industry in all 10 innovators will be selected to participate in a 10-week program that will provide them with the expertise, resources to develop and scale market-ready solutions. The Commissioner of Insurance, Dr. Justice Ofori, said the InnoLab Accelerator Program will unearth market-ready solutions to make insurance more relevant and affordable for Ghanaians. The Senior Manager, Risk Solutions, FSD Africa, Mr. Elias Omandi, said InnoLab will leverage global best practice and results from similar initiatives, including BimaLab in Kenya, to support the development of a vibrant insurance ecosystem. Africa is the second fastest growing insurance market in the world and projected to grow at 7% between 2020 and 2025 prior to COVID-19. You're still watching, and this is the business segment. Let's have the performance of the local currency on the forex markets and the price of gold, cocoa, and light from the commodity.